In this video, I'm going to be showing you all you need to know to get started with baling in Farming Simulator 22. Let's get into it. Alright, so let's have a chat about the types of balers in game. So if you want to find balers, come into Tools, navigate down to Balers, and you've got a whole bunch of tow behind balers that you see here. So they range in price from quite small all the way up to DLC, which is on the end here, but towards the bigger end with the Fendt Squadra and the Massey Ferguson MF2370 Ultra HD. They're basically just high capacity, high density bales, and you can see there down the bottom 240 centimeter to 180 centimeter rectangular bales for those configurations, and then it comes down in size basically as we go along the line, size and shape essentially. So if we have a look at this guy here, so this is the cheapest. So this will do a 120 centimeter rectangular bale. Okay, so you can see that bale will come out the back there. Pretty straightforward, offers continuous baling. The smallest of the round bales is the Pottinger, which is this guy just here. So they'll also do up to 125 centimeter round. The key difference with the two types of bales, the rectangular and the round, is the rectangular allow you to bale continuously without stopping. The round balers require you to stop to drop the bale, so we'll demonstrate that in a little bit. The next step along, we've got these guys. So these ones will do silage bales, and the characteristic of these guys is they take a round bale. As you can see, the rollers there, so that'll do a round bale, and it's got a roller on the back with a wrapper. Okay, that wrapper will wrap the bale, allow it to ferment and turn into silage. Okay, so that'll take cut grass and turn that into silage for you. Now we've got four choices in that regard. So the Pottinger Empress, so this one will do both. So this will do silage bales and regular bales. So will this. So you can see in the UI on the left hand side, it's basically just the size of the bale and working speed, that type of thing, that changes. All right, moving on. Now we've got the continuous balers. So I just call them square balers. So this Class Quadrant, the New Holland, the Case, the Kun, the Crone, the Massey Ferguson, and the Fendt Squadra. So basically the only difference here is the bale size that they can do, their working speed, horsepower requirements, and obviously the size of the bale. So if we have a look at this guy, you can basically see there's no wrapper on the back, just has a high capacity discharge chute. So it allows for continuous baling, so without stopping. Okay, so that one will do a 240 centimeter, and so will these guys. Okay, so I think the working speed might be a little bit less if I'm not mistaken. Okay, no, it's just the horsepower requirements that are the main difference. So it basically just depends on what you want to spend your money on. They're all roughly the same price, entirely up to you. Okay, but we'll demonstrate those in a little bit. This one has the advent of silage tanks. Okay, so silage additive tanks. So you can still create silage bales out of these rectangular bales. It just requires the usage of a separate bale wrapper in a post step. Then we've got some DLC, so the Gaville balers, the Vermeer, and I've got a Kubota mod. This is like a fast baler. So that's the balers in a nutshell. All right, let's move on. All right, so what we have here is a selection of bales that you can purchase from the in-game help menu, so the store. So we've got hay bale, round and square, straw bale, round and square, and then silage bales, round and square. So if we want to find those, we just come into the tools menu, and then we want to go to objects, bales, and then we've got the assortment of bales here to purchase. Okay, so we don't need to make the bales in this case, we can just buy them for the feed that is specified there. So the benefit to this is if you are short on bales and you need bales for animal feed or for whatever reason, you can just come in here, purchase them as you require, and you can buy up to stacks of 8. And I believe the rounds are the same. So it's showing you 8 there. And that goes for all the bales. So that's how you purchase bales from the store. The only bales that aren't available are cotton, poplar, and grass. So okay, so basically the way this works is if you need to make TMR, you can use the ingredients from the shop to make it without having to do it yourself. All right, so that's how you get bales from the shop. Let's move on. Right, so first thing we need to do to get some straw is we need to harvest a straw producing crop. So we've got some wheat here and we've got a harvester ready to go. So we're going to jump on in. So you get your header connected, unfold the harvester. We are going to turn the harvester on. Now you can see enable straw swath can be toggled on or off. So we're just going to hit that to enable. And what should happen is when we drive over this crop here, we should get the straw swath dropping out the back. Okay, So I'm just going to pull up here for a second. So this straw swath is now going to be nicely aligned for us to pick it up with our baler. So what we're going to do is we're going to send this guy off on a worker. Now we've got a bit of a clump there, but we'll sort that out later on. We'll let the worker do a couple of runs through here so we can come through and pick it up with our baler. So we'll do that and then we'll come back in. Alright, so let's take a look at the MF, so the Massey Ferguson MF 1840. So we've got that just here in the shop. So we've gone ahead and purchased it. We've hooked it up to our tractor. So we're just using a small Massey Ferguson here as well. Basically what we're going to do is we're just going to run along here and pick up this straw and turn it into bale. So basically what we need to do, we need to unfold the baler, so L1 and square. Need to lower the pickup, turn that on. So you can see that's now operational. And then basically all we want to do is drive along this straw swath here. Now this one's a little bit oversized because of where we parked earlier. But basically what will happen is it'll just work its way through the pile. Okay, should be able to drive at full speed. And this is just going to begin to drop off those 120 centimeter bales, so you can see that filling up on the right hand side down the bottom. And we're getting the tiny little bales come out, so you can see that there. Pretty straightforward process. Alright, so we've got a couple of partials there, so let's see if we can unload these. So if I turn the baler off by pressing square and press triangle, that's now unloaded the partial bales. And if we... Okay, so one thing to consider with these guys, the 120 centimeter bales, is you're able to pick them up and move them by hand, okay? Now, I think the other balers, so if we have a quick look, these guys, they you might be able to pick these ones up. It'll just depend, okay? But I know when you get to the bigger sizes, because they're more packed, more tightly densely packed, they're much heavier and harder to pick up, okay? So that's a quick little demo of the Massey Ferguson. So let's move on to picking these guys up. So we'll have a look at that. All right, let's take a look at the Arkeson Multi-Pack D14. So that's this guy just here. So it'll do 14 bales, and it's the 120 centimeter variety, square or rectangular bales. So that's it there. So let's go ahead and grab that. Okay, and there it is just over there. So we'll get it connected and we'll head on over. All right, so let's get this thing turned into the operating position. So you can see it's got a little bit of an arm that comes out, and we should be good to go. So basically what will happen is if we drive up to our little 120 centimeter baler, should pick that up, and then it'll start stacking it nice and neatly for us. So let's go ahead and drive on up nice and slow. So you basically just need to wait for the animation to complete before it'll pick up the next one. There we go. So not a bad option if you want to save time, but I think if you're going to invest the money, you would go for a round baler and a high capacity bale trailer, because they're a little bit quicker, okay? But this still does the job, okay? So you can see out there. So let's see if we can get 14 loaded up. I mean, and nonetheless, it is a pretty cool machine. So we're just going to grab these last couple. Okay, we'll get this last one here. All right, there we go. So we are fully loaded. So I'm going to turn this back to transporting position. So that'll now fold up. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this over here and we'll unload it just on the edge of the field. Alright, so if we go unload bales, let's see what happens. Unload bales here. So it's basically baled it up into a bigger, so it's basically turned it into a 9,000 litre bale, okay, which we can then now pick up with, a front loader or something similar. So there you go, that's the multi-pack D14. So let's move on. Alright, so we've got the Class Roland Uni-Wrap. So this is one I've used quite a bit for silage bales, so let's go ahead and lease that. Now we are doing straw with this. Normally, well, I guess you got the flexibility to do straw, hay, or silage. I'm just not sure if you do hay, if it'll try and convert it into silage by wrapping it. But let's see what happens when we do the straw. Okay, so we're going to turn the baler on, lower the pickup, turn on automatic drop, Now this should just give us a 125 centimeter round, okay, with no wrapping. So let's see what happens. Okay, we're full, so let's just back up a little bit, let the unloading take its place, and it should just drop off. Yep. Cool, good to know. Alright, so I'm not going to bother doing the additional run. Pretty straightforward explanation there. So we can utilise this for straw along with grass, for grass silage. Alright, let's move on. Alright, next up, let's have a look at the Pottinger Empress 125F Pro. So this is a round baler that'll do 125 centimeter bales. So let's go ahead and have a look at that. Alright, here it is here, so let's get connected. Alrighty, so let's turn the baler on, lower the pickup. We're going to turn automatic drop on. So basically what that'll do is it'll allow us to drop this bale when it is full. So basically it's filling up now. We should get a beep to let us know we're nearly full. There we go. Okay, and then while that animation is happening, we won't be able to pick up any more material until the lid has closed, which it has now closed, so we can move on. So let's grab another one. So you can see here, pretty good working speed. Looks like we're getting a fair bit of material there. So we'll just finish this row and then we'll go check these bales out. Alright, so we are finished that run. Can we eject a partial bale? No, we cannot. Okay, so that's good to know. So the round balers doesn't look like we can eject a partial bale. So how heavy is this guy? So that's 5,000 litres, 220 kilos. So too heavy. Cool. All right, so that's the small round baler. So let's go and have a look at how we're going to move these guys. So basically two options in the base game. We've got the Flegel Schmieterling. I think I've said that correctly. Or the Anderson RBM 2000. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do this one just yet. We'll wait until we get a bigger set of bales for that. We can do the manual loading with the trailer. We've got the auto loading option. So let's have a look at the Schmieterling. Okay, so let's go ahead and lease that. Alright, so we've got the Schmieterling connected. So it goes onto our 3-point hitch on the front of the tractor. Looks as though we can basically use it as a front loading tool. So I can see that there. We can lower it up and down, etc. So what I'm going to try and do is, I guess I will just drive into this and see if it'll load. So we may have to just be a little bit more sensible with our tractoring. So let's try this again. There we go. So the trick is R1 to widen the claw, and then we'll close that a bit closer, lift that up. That makes a lot more sense. Okay, just turn this guy around a little bit. Okay, and then R1 to close it, lift it back up. Okay, then we've got two on the go. Alright, probably not something I would recommend. I mean, if you do want to play for the simulation aspect, then by all means give this a go. But a bale spike on a front loader is probably going to be far, far quicker. Nonetheless, pretty cool bit of gear. Alright, let's move on. Alright, next up we're going to test the continuous high capacity square balers. So we're just going to use the class quadrant, but basically any of these guys in this section here are going to function the same way. It's just going to be the price that varies, okay? But they'll all do a 180 centimeter or 240 centimeter bale. So let's grab this guy. Okay, so you can see the size difference straight up there. Much larger piece of equipment. Alright, so what we're going to do is to change the bale size. And this goes for all the balers that we've looked at so far that you can change the bale size on. Hold down R1 on PS5, push R3, and that's going to cycle through the different sizes. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick with the 180 centimeter. Actually, no, we'll split the difference. We'll go 220 and we'll leave it there. Okay, so let's see how this guy performs. So we're going to unfold the baler, turn it on, lower the pickup, and basically what you'll see is this will allow us to bale continuously without having to stop. So pretty much the major advantage of this type of baler is the ability to have non-stop baling, okay? Which basically improves your efficiency. So we've already built one bale. It's formed in the machine and getting ejected as we speak. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flick around, just grab this straw from the previous run. Cool. So we haven't dropped a bale yet. Alright, I'm just going to cruise around, pick this stuff up, and then we'll rejoin on the other end. Alright, there we go. So we've got, I think we've got 2 come out so far. So I might just line up here on the next one. We'll turn the baler off and we can unload the partial bales, so you can see them coming out there. We've just got the one in this case. Alright, so that's basically the high capacity rectangular bales. So you can see we've got one there. That's 400 kilos, 8,250 litres. Pretty straightforward. Alright, let's move on. Alright, let's talk about bale loaders. So once you've made the bales, you're going to need to be able to pick them up and transport them around. So bale loaders, so they come in a variety of base game equipment up until, so the Arkeson FSX 6372 is the biggest, most expensive in base game. Then I've got a few auto-loading trailer mods here, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But basically starting from the Flegel, not even going to attempt to say that, but this is basically a bale holder, so it'll hold 2 bales on the front there. The Anderson RBM 2000, which I've used quite a bit, so we'll demonstrate that later on as well. It's got a pickup arm on the side, and it'll hold round bales, 24 round bales. Now the Arkeson Multipack D14, so this will do 14 bales of 120 centimeter size. Okay, so you can start to see basically the baler that you choose to purchase. Let's have a look at this guy. So these are just manually loaded, so using a front loader. Same with this guy, it doesn't have an auto loading feature. This one here will do a 3 stack of bales, 180 centimeter to 240 centimeter. And then the big guy, the Arkeson FSX 6372, will do 14 bales of the larger size, so up to the 240 centimeter. So you can see that there. So one thing you need to pay attention to, if you're going to use a bale loading machine like this, you need to pay attention to the size of the baler that you're using. So the 120 centimeter baler, this guy here, right, will work perfectly with the Macy. Okay, so it'll do 120 centimeter bale, and it's the only baler in the base game that'll do 120 centimeters. All the others start at 180 for rectangular bales. Okay, so just keep that in mind, and same goes for rounds as well. But much of a muchness, it depends on what you want to do, what you can afford at the time. My preference is probably to go for the high density continuous bales, so the square bales, because they allow you to basically just keep baling without stopping. Makes life a little bit easier. Alright, so that's a brief overview of the bale loaders. Let's move on. Alright, let's take a look at the Arkeson 4-stack 812. Okay, so this will do a 3 bale stack for us, 180 centimeter to 240 centimeter. So let's go ahead and grab that. Alright, so here it is here, connected to the tractor. So basically what we need to do is we need to put it into its operating position. It'll kick it out to the side. And now what will happen is when we drive up to the bale that we want to stack, so we just drive up alongside here. See if we can line it up correctly. Okay, let's try this again. Alright, so basically we just need to line it up with the bale, like so. Right, there we go. So you just got to get the angle absolutely perfect on this one. Otherwise it will not go in. Okay. Now, it probably doesn't help that we've got these bales all sort of all over the place. So let's try this here. So we can feed another one in there. Alright, so let's try this here. So a little bit tricky. That one should go in. Okay, there we go. So we've got a second one in the stack there. And there we go. So we've got a third one in there. So a little bit temperamental, but like I said, if you had your bales in a nice neat row rather than stacked in a huge pile like I do, probably be a lot easier. Alright, so let's go ahead and unload these. So that is just going to unload them like so. So not as big as the other stack over there, but just a little bit more manageable. So that's the Arkeson 4-stack. Alright, let's move on. Alright, so we've got a bunch of square bales to pick up. So we're going to demonstrate the Arkeson FSX 6372. So this will do a 180 to 240 centimeter rectangular bale. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab that. And I've got a whole bunch of bales on the field that we can go ahead and pick up. So here he is here. Okay, so let's go and get this unfolded. So you can see we've got a little conveyor belt on the side. We just drive up to the bales that we want to pick up. Now basically what you got to remember is if you've got mix and match bale sizes, once you pick up one bale of one size, you can't pick up bales of different size, okay? So they've all got to be the same size on the same load, if that makes sense. So you can see that there. driving up, little animation, it'll go through, place it into a nice neat stack for us. So we just got to wait for that arm to return. Now obviously if you're doing this for real, these bales will be in a nice neat row from your baler. Okay, so you probably have time to drive up to the next one before the animation will complete. But in our case, we're just going through the demonstration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the rest of these guys up, and then we'll come back in and we'll demonstrate the unloading of the bales. See you in a few minutes. Alright, there we go. So we've got our last bale on board. So what we're going to do is we are going to come over to the grass verge area here, and we're going to unload. So let's just set up just here. So we're going to go back to transporting position, hit unload bales, and let's see what happens. So basically what it does is it lifts it up into a nice stack, which we're about to see. Cool, and then we will get the unload bales here, drive on out, lower loading platform, and that should return. And now we've got a nice big stack of bales. Okay, so it's just convenient to have them stacked like this. So now when we have these on our farm, we can come in with a telehandler, pick the bales off the top that we need, and utilize them for animal bedding, whatever we need to. So that is the Arkeson auto stack. Let's move on. All right, let's have a quick look at some auto loading options. So I've got the Roland LSP 904. So this is out of the Roland pack mod. So this is a free mod pack that you can download for all platforms. So it's this trailer here. When you purchase it, just make sure you select the auto loading option. We've also got a couple of other different options here, but check out the mod hub for what takes your fancy. But this is just the one that I've used and find it quite reliable. So that's the one I use mostly in game. So basically what we need to do is connect it, get it into operating position. Okay. And then basically what we need to do is drive alongside our bales. So we've got a whole bunch on the floor here, and this will automatically pick them up. So let's see how we go. So as you can see, it's got a little bit of a glitch with the stacking currently. Alright, and then we'll just go back to transporting position. So you can see pretty easy way, quick and easy way to pick them up. Alright, now we want to unload these. Basically hold L1, right analog stick, and we have successfully unloaded. Okay, so obviously the benefit of this is it's quite quick. You get a nice neat stack like so, and you don't have to worry about picking them up manually like we just demonstrated. So that's the Roland RP 904 LSP auto loading bale trailer. Alright, let's move on. Alright, let's take a look at the round bale loading trailer. So the Anderson RBM 2000. So that's this guy just here. So this will do round bales 125 centimeters up to 180 centimeters. So let's go ahead and grab that. Alright, so here it is connected. So it's basically got a grab arm on the side, which we'll see shortly. And it basically functions the same way as the other trailer. So put it into its operating position, and then basically all we need to do is drive up alongside these round bales. So these are all the same size. And it puts them into a nice, neat stack. So you can see that there. So we'll stack them into a little group of 3. And then we'll push them down. And it'll basically fill this trailer up all the way. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and pick some more of these guys up, and then we'll come back in once we've got a full trailer load. So see you in a minute. Alright, here we go. So we are fully loaded. So let's go and unload this. So basically we will just unload it on the fly here. Okay, so what we want to do, get into a position where we want to put the bales. Okay, press unload. Now what this should do is it will prepare to unload them here, and then we can basically just drive out slowly at the same time. and then we end up with a nice stack of bales just there. So I'm just going to lower the loading platform. We'll go out and have a look. So now we've got a nice stack of round bales ready for various purposes. So pretty convenient way to do that. All right, let's move on. All right, so now we've got some bales. So I've just got a couple of examples here. How do we go about picking them up and moving them around with a telehandler? Okay, so we've got two telehandlers here. One with a bale spike attached, so you can see that there. And then one with a wrapped bale handler, which is more like a clamp, just here. So if we want to find them, so we purchase a telehandler, we come into telehandler tools, okay, because they're specific to the telehandlers. Bale fork and wrapped bale handler, they're the two options. And if you've got some mods, they may appear here, okay? But these are the two base game options. So let's go in and have a look at these. Okay, so bale fork is attached. Basically all you do is drive into the bale, pick it up, and you can maneuver it around as you desire. And it will also do the rectangular bale as well. Okay, depending on the weight, you may have to be careful with what you pick up. Alright, so you can use this on all bales, but in real life, obviously a silage bale which is wrapped, it would puncture it and not be ideal. So in our scenario, in the game, you can use a spiked bale fork to pick up a silage bale. So you can see that's wrapped. It's not damaged. It's still silage, it's still fermented, it'll still work, okay? So just if you want to play for realism or practicality, it's up to you. But that is the bale spike for the telehandler. So let's have a look at the bale handler. Okay, so what we need to do is open this guy up. So R1 and left and right on the analog stick. Right analog stick, sorry. Driving up to it. Get our angle sort of correct. Okay, close that, pick it up. So you can see we've picked it up much the same way. And then we can take it to where we need to put it. So in this case, we're just going to pop it back there. Okay, and we're good to go. Alright, so there's two options for handling the silage or the bales with the bale spike and the wrapped handler. Alright, let's move on. Alright, let's take a look at the front loader attachments for the tractor. So we've got one set up here with a quickie front loader for the bale attachments. So we've got a selection on the floor here, and they can be found in the tool section, so under front loader tools. So these are specific to the front loaders. So what we've got is the Albert bale spike, bale handler, round bale fork, and bale king. So this will grab multiple bales at once. All right, let's have a look at each one of these individually. So pretty straightforward. So I'm going to omit the bale spike because we've already sort of talked about that. Pretty much functions the same way that the square bale fork does. Oh, sorry, the telehandler. Okay. Now this guy here, if I'm not mistaken, is designed to basically pick up bales in this format. So this round bale, let's pretend that it's on its side, and it'll pick it up like so. Okay, nothing too confusing about that, pretty straightforward. Okay, if we can just get that to release. Cool. Alright, so that's the bale handler. Now this one on the floor here, so this one functions the same way as the can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. It was the Schmetterling, the Fliegel Schmetterling. So it basically picks the bales up off the ground, and I believe, so we'll just do a quick demo. Those arms will slide in and out to accommodate different circumferences and diameters of bales. So we pop that on there. So you can see that there. It'll go for a smaller bale or a wider bale. It's got the tilt function that you would come to expect. Pretty straightforward. Okay. Now this one here, so what is this one called? The Bale King. What this will do is it allows you to pick up bales off the ground or on a stack. Okay. In a big group like that. So what we're going to do is we'll drive on over to our stack of bales. So we'll just go and we'll grab this 3 stack just here. Okay, now we may need a counterweight on the back, which I haven't got currently. So if I drive in, yeah, you can see that there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back with a front weight. Alright, so we've got a rear weight, so it's probably overkill for what we need, but this will prevent us from tipping forward when we lift up a heavy stack of bales. So let's try this again. Okay, lift that up. So basically what you can see, we've got the ability to pick the bales up like so. Okay, now obviously the physics are been a bit temperamental here, so let's drop them down here. Okay, you're probably better off keeping them upright like so, but that's basically how you would use them. So it's probably more useful if we were going to pick up sort of 3 or 4 bales off the top of that stack there, and move them around. But that's the front loader bale tools. All right, let's move on. All right, next up, let's talk about wheel loader bale tools. So we've got a wheel loader here and a bale fork just here. So if we jump into the tools menu, we come into wheel loaders. So we have got the Class Torion 1914. Okay, so just sticking with the base game equipment. If we come into wheel loaders and have a look at the tools, we've got a McCormick Industries bale fork, which will do 600 kilos. Okay, so let's get this guy connected. So this is just more of a heavyweight option, if you will, for bale handling. So let's go over to our big stack of bales and see if we can't grab a few off the top. Alright, so we've got our stack from earlier. So let's see if we can't get up high here and grab some of these. Okay, make sure we don't knock it over. We can avoid it, so we've grabbed those guys. Let's see if we can get them off. So we've managed to grab, looks to be like two there. Okay, so it just allows you to pick up bigger bales a little bit easier. And I would imagine, so if we drop this down just here, where those forks go. Yep. So I think it's probably, we could probably go a little, we could probably grab 3, I'd say, on this size, if you positioned it correctly. But basically that's just another option for your wheel loaders if you've got one. Okay, so let's move on. All right, let's have a look at the Bale Wrappers. Okay, so the Bale Wrappers are basically there to create silage bales. So in the case of where you've created round or square bales that haven't been wrapped as part of the baling process, so in the all-in-one units, so you can come through here and select a machine to do the wrapping after the fact if you desire. Okay, so we've got a couple of different options here. So this guy here, the Kverneland 7850C, will do a round bale. So you can see that it's got a pickup on the front, bale wrapper on the side. This guy here, the Kun SW4014, will do a round and a square. Okay, so we'll demonstrate that later on as well. And these guys here, the Anderson X Factors, they will do a conveyor belt of silage bales. Okay, so it's like a sausage. So we'll demonstrate that later on as well. Okay, so you can see that there. This one will do round and square. This one will just do rounds. Okay, and then we've got a couple of DLCs. So the Gavil, this goes on a front loading attachment or a 3-point. So you can pick that guy up there. These function much the same way as the ones we talked about before. So this will just do a round. This will do a round and a square. That's if you got the DLC. It's up to you if you want to get that. But these guys here are the base game Bale Wrappers. All right, let's move on. All right, so we've got a bunch of bales here. So we've got a selection of round bales and we've got various rectangle bales, different sizes scattered all over the field from our testing from before. So how do we store these? What are some storage options? Okay, so one of the most useful ways to store them is the bale and pallet storage building. So this is a free building that comes as part of the game. Okay, now basically what you want to do is place this down on some land that you own. Okay, it's got to be free and clear of any objects, so we're just going to plonk that down there. Now basically what this allows you to do is it allows you to store bales in this building up to 250 capacity. Okay, now I'm going to grab this auto loading trailer and we're going to throw some bales in there. So let's go and get connected. Now basically normally when you store them in this configuration, they're just stored on the ground, okay? So they don't really get stored in a building. So you can have 50, I believe, on console on the ground at any one time, and on PC I think it's limited by how many RAM your computer has, or it might be a 200 bale limit. Somebody who is on PC will know the exact figure, but for our purposes we'll stick with the rule of 50. So that's just gonna, and that's why this building is so useful, because it allows us to get around that limitation. Alright, so what we're going to do, we've got our bales connected here. I've just used the auto loading trailer, but you can use whatever method you like. What we're going to do is come up to this trigger here. So what we're going to do is we've got to put them into this area just here, and then the building will receive them. So let's go ahead and just got to sort of finesse them into position. Cool, so that should have taken them all. So I'll just get this out of the way so we can see. So you can see them in there in storage. So if we check our little UI thing down the bottom there, it'll say 24 out of 250, and it says we've got round bale straw, 5,000 litres. Okay, now if we want to retrieve these bales back out of there, basically come to this dialog box here, push L3, select the amount of bales that we want to retrieve, and there they are, ready for use. Okay, so now we can go through and pick them up again if we want, take them over to various animal barns for straw bedding for manure production, or sell them at the biomass heating plant, whatever you want to do. So that's just one way of storing the bales. Alright, let's move on. So there you have it, guys, my guide on balers in Farming Simulator 22. If you found this video helpful, please leave a like on it. If you've got any questions, leave them down below in the comments. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.